Well, hello everybody, and welcome out to round one of the Formula Drift Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. I'm Ryan Sage along with Ryan Lantain here, and this is the Papa John's Drift Atlanta. It's qualifying day where we're going to see the top 32 drivers from the Pro 2 field that have made their way across the country competing for valuable points in the first ever live streaming of qualifying day. Before we get to that, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about last year's championship. It was a close race. We saw some back and forth battles, but really the story came down to three guys.
It really did. It was a tight race. Only 2 points separated first and second place after the entire season was done. 252 points to 250. Really, really tight. Like you said, three drivers. It's Kevin Lawrence, Travis Reeder, and Matt Van Kirk. Kevin Lawrence came out and won the first round. Got himself 100 points plus qualifying points. Did really, really well. But his second and third events weren't very strong. He came back and won the fourth event. The other two drivers kind of swapped wins in between, so it ended up being a race right to the finish.
And of course, the top 8 drivers from Pro 2 do get gifted that Pro 1 license if they opt to take it. So these events are really important for them, and we're really excited to kick it off here at Road Atlanta. Let's talk about today's event format for qualifying and what the fans and drivers can expect from you guys, the judges.
So today in qualifying, each driver gets 2 non-consecutive runs. They're going to get a score for each one, of course, and the higher score of the 2 will be what puts them into their qualifying position. Then 16 drivers are going to move on to head-to-head competition, and any ties that we have during the event will be broken initially by the lower qualifying score.
Now, this track is obviously a fan and driver favorite. It's arguably probably one of the most unique tracks, and by extension, you're going to get a very unique track map setup and points breakdown. So let's look into that.
So here you can see in all the yellow areas what will be judged by the line and angle judges. We did add one late kind of last minute addition to this track, and that is a bit of an inside clip, inside zone you could call it, on the way back down the hill. So you'd have inside clip 1 there up the hill, and then outside zone 1, outside zone 2, inside clip 2, and on the way back down the hill at that rumble strip is where you'd see that little touch and go area there. So it's forcing the drivers to stay tight inside on the way down the hill, which will control their speed exiting the horseshoe. So basically, with that change, the line and angle scores will all be 5 on each side all the way down.
One of the things I think that you guys have done that's so important in understanding how the vehicles are operating on track is putting in what we used to call the Excel Decel map. Now we're just really calling it a Decel map. It's a way of letting the fans know where drivers may be slowing down. So let's get into the granularity of that.
Exactly. So you look at this map right now, over there that's white on the map, where you don't see those red lines, is where drivers should be either on throttle, accelerating, or at least maintaining their pace throughout those clear sections. Where you see the red lines, that is where the lead driver is authorized or allowed to slow down. It doesn't mean that they can come to a grinding halt there. It just means that they're allowed to slow the vehicle down, either using a lot of angle by lifting off the throttle as well, grabbing the handbrake, a little foot brake, whatever they need to do. So on initiation, of course, the drivers are going to be slowing down. And then on the way up the hill coming into the keyhole, they clearly need to slow down because they're coming up at high rated speed.
And you would probably say that with the removal of the front brake light, this map becomes even more important. You guys are looking at the momentum of the vehicle. It helps you make a judgment call if there happens to be contact in that area.
Exactly. In the past, we were looking at the brake lights, and maybe it was a little misleading because a brake light can come on during left foot braking where the vehicle may not have been slowing down at all. In this case, with the way we have it now, the cars, we're just looking at their momentum, how the vehicle's moving around.
Now, the acronym that we had last year for style was IFC. We've dropped the I. We've put the I into C.
Yes.
So tell us what F and C are.
All right. So FC, fluidity and commitment, those will be looking at how fluid the car is going through the course. So fluidity really refers to how the car is rotating on its own axis. And we're going to be looking at the transitions. We're going to be looking at the initiation as well, like you said. So the drivers have to get the car to angle smoothly and without that double initiation that we sometimes see. And then every other area on the track that isn't covered by the line and angle judges will be covered by the style judge. Commitment is really the forward momentum of the vehicle. Really, really important here at this track on outside zone 1. Drivers need to stay on throttle as late as possible coming up the hill and then use the momentum of the vehicle to fill outside zone 2. It's not easy. You can overshoot or undershoot very, very easily in those 2 areas. So it's vital, vital, vital that these drivers get comfortable with the track. If they're not accustomed to where they're supposed to lift, it's going to be really tough for them to get through this track.
And we want to give the drivers every possible opportunity to go out and get a score so they can make it into tomorrow's competition. But you guys have listed out a few things that are just, I guess, what you would call absolute zeros. We used to call them zeros, now we call them incomplete. So let's break those down for qualifying.
As you see on the screen, spinning out, drifting in the opposite direction that you should be anywhere on the track, and any latchable item opening on the vehicle. So the hood, hatch, the trunk, the doors, anything like that that opens at any time. And of course, what's not on this list are major errors that would occur, like a major straightening where the driver either has a mechanical issue, the gear selector pops out, and it gets into neutral, and then they have to give up, so to speak, out on the course. So that can occur at any point in time as well.
All right, Ryan. Well, thank you for breaking down the judging. Qualifying is up next. You're watching the Formula Drift Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship, round number 1. Well, here we are with Ryan Lantane kicking off the very first ever Pro 2 live stream broadcast. The Formula Drift Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship round number 1, Ryan. And we are doing this for the very first time here at Road Atlanta.
It's a challenging track for these guys to be starting their season with, but I think they've been doing pretty well in practice, so we should have a good showing today.
Rasnior up first. Let's see how he does, kicking things off, coming through the chicane. We'll talk about the judging criteria a bit more, Ryan, as we get into it, but let's take a look at this run number 1. Initiating a little bit past that third standing cone, now heading into that first inside clip, transitioning up the hill, heading for the second outer zone, trying to reach deep into that section. Coming up a bit short in that second outer zone and a bit wide on that inside clip. Now back down the hill here, the judges asking the drivers to get tight to this inside clip, touch and go type area. And then through the finish line is Rasnior. First run of the day, trying to get as many laps as we can before the potential rain comes down. Ryan, as you're going through your scoring there, anything that comes to mind from run number 1?
Apart from the late initiation, there was nothing too big to talk about in this run. It was pretty smooth. He got to the first couple of zones. He really missed that outside zone 2. But in terms of angle and the way the vehicle was moving, he made it through the entire course and just made a couple of errors here and there. But it's his first run. He's going to get a score on the board, so it's a good place to start.
All right, 32 drivers trying to whittle it down to 16 for tomorrow's competition. You can see the burnout box up there. We'll have Ryan doing double duty for a little bit. Jared DeAndre will be joining us shortly. He's currently stuck in traffic. And we'll get Ryan to... All right, we're hearing that Dustin Miles is skipping his first run. Kendrick Meyer up next. A lot of these guys, Ryan, we're seeing for the very first time. Guys that have come up from Pro-Am and taking on the challenge of Pro 2, trying to eventually make it to Pro 1. We saw a really exciting championship last year with Kevin Lawrence taking the crown. Started off the season with a win and kind of fell off in the middle, came back real strong, won the last round, ended up winning the championship by 2 points, 252 to 250. And it was a really fun competition to watch.
Yeah, and now seeing this year's Pro 2 lineup, there's some interesting cars that I've never seen on Evo drifting in any of the Pro 2 series so far, and you don't often see them drifting anyway. That one is equipped with a V8, it sounds like. So that's kind of original. Now we have an E36 coming up. So a couple of cars that are kind of different from what we normally see, which is nice. It's a big challenge, this track. It's very, very fast coming down the hill. I went for a couple of ride-alongs earlier with some of the pro drivers, and the speeds they achieve coming down the hill, it's pretty impressive to be in the car. It's a big challenge, like I said, for these guys to start their season off with. Some of these guys haven't even driven their cars much yet. They're kind of doing a shakedown on a track like Road Atlanta. So,
all right, scores are in for Rasnior, a 52 starting off.
52.
5-2 for Rasnior. Moving on to our next driver. Kendrick Meyer getting the green light, setting things off here. Here we go, out of the chicane. See the 3 standing cones. The judges would like to initiate by that last standing cone there. Gets it done, now headed towards this inside clip. Off throttle, then back on, trying to maintain that momentum. Now heading up the hill. Getting into that that first outer zone. A little bit better job there on that second outer zone. Nice and tight on that second inside clip. Now heading back down the hill. Hitting that inside touch and go. And then throttling through the finish line. Pretty consistent run there. Nice early initiation. Getting it done. So Ryan, one of the things we talked about in the show open was some of the changes that you guys had made. Let's talk a little bit about this last inside, or the second to last inside clip touch and go area there. What exactly are you calling it, and what is the significance of that?
So we are calling it a touch and go. It's an inside touch and go. It's essentially an area where the driver needs to get the front of their car as close to as possible without going off the track. So it's like an inside clip. We didn't want to put a real clip there. We just wanted to have a kind of an area where they need to get close. This is controlling what they're going to be doing coming out of the horseshoe, out of the keyhole here. So in years past, sometimes we had guys over speeding coming out of there and really trying to get away. So we figured if we put something in that area that would require them to stay on the inside, then it would control how they exit.
Gotcha. All right. So waiting on one final score to come through. And it looks like Kendrick Meyer is going to log a 76.76 for run number 1. Nice way to start it off here for qualifying. Again, whittling drivers down from 32 to 16 for tomorrow's competition. And David Mesker sits on the line. He is our next driver up. There were a few drivers that had some crashes in the qualifying, or the practice leading up to qualifying. Hopefully they make it back. But it does look like we had a few guys able to make those repairs. So here we go, kicking things off. Heading down the long chute. There you go, nice early initiation between the second and last standing cone. Off throttle there, loses it, kind of loses drift there. Judges will definitely want to take a look at that. Now throttling uphill. Nice job on that second outside zone. Way off that second inside clip. Now back down the hill here. And losing drift again for a second time. Really struggling there after the initiation through that first inside clip. Big angle in the car, almost went off in the kitty litter, had to make an adjustment, had to reinitiate there, so the judges will have to take a look about whether or not that was an incomplete.
Yeah, so he really missed that inside clip 1, which threw him off, it looks like, for the rest of the run right here. You can see that he was kind of close to that last inside zone area, but definitely missed and had a couple of straightens that could be considered serious enough to result in an incomplete. So if you see here, long e-brake pull, get the car sideways, but drives pretty straight for a good amount of time right there. It's not on the actual list of incompletes because we like to look at each situation individually, but if you combine two together, that typically will reside in an incomplete. So right there, he goes straight again for a shorter period of time than the first one, but still not ideal.
All right, so waiting for the score for David Mesker.
Yeah, and we're going to be going with an incomplete on that one for the multiple straights. And
All
the
right.
first one was pretty significant.
Yeah, that looked like it just crossed through that threshold there from what I've seen you guys post in the past.
Yes.
So unfortunately for him, he'll have an incomplete, but he'll have another opportunity. And moving on to our next driver. Rodolfo Martinez up at the gate. Still dry conditions out here, but it does look like there is rain on the way, so we'll try to get as many of these runs in as possible before we go to rainy judging conditions. Never fun, but can get exciting.
Yeah, everything needs to be adjusted when it rains.
So here we go, Rodolfo heading down the long straight, pretty aggressive, throws the initiation, drops that right rear tire, hits that first inside clip, back on the throttle now, making his way up into the keyhole. Pretty smooth flow, but a little bit short on that second outside zone. And then right here, slowing down, misses that inside clip by about 2 feet. Heading back down the hill here, trying to piece one together. Pretty good job on that inside touch and go, and then wrapping it back around up the hill. So Rodolfo Martinez doing a pretty good job there. Ryan, what was the takeaway?
First part of that run looked really, really strong until he got up to outside zone 1. He just didn't get out to outside zone 2 the way that we'd like to see him. Inside clip 1, he was off a little bit. As he came down the hill here, did a pretty good job. Probably got about, I'd say only about a point knocked off there for the inside zone that we have. And pretty good to the finish. So overall a good run, just needed a little more commitment coming up the hill towards outside zone 2.
Ryan, you tell me if I'm asking too much of you to give us feedback while you're doing your judging as well. But what was your takeaway from the new Pro 2 field this morning in the drivers' meeting? There's a lot of good questions being asked and going through the rule book and things like that. What was your impression?
Yeah, it's nice to see when they have a lot of questions, because it seems, it makes you feel like you're actually doing something that they're interested in. Sometimes we have drivers' meetings where the drivers just kind of stare at you, but in this one, they had a lot of questions, some insight, and they seem like they're really excited for the season. So it was nice to see.
And Ryan, you're definitely gathering up all the stories, traveling all over, doing judging around the world. What are some of the differences and takeaways from judging here in the States and doing stuff in FD Japan? Is there any conclusions that you can draw from the different people that you work with and drivers and things as such?
I get the question a lot when I'm overseas. What's the difference between my series and your series? And we have a score coming up.
69 for Rodolfo Martinez. Good start for him, coming in at number 2 so far. Still a few drivers to go, but starting off with a solid 69.
Yeah, seeing different things around the world, it's really a lot of it's the same, really, to be honest with you. It's just the language people are speaking and the cars they're driving. But overall, it's this what you're seeing today, but just in a different place on a different track. Everybody in the drifting community is so close and friendly that it feels really good everywhere you go.
All right, here we go. Troy Manners, our next driver up, heading down the long straight. Real sweeping initiation. Kicks that e-brake on, back on throttle here through that first inside clip. Now off the gas, back on, hitting this first outside zone. Nice fluid motion here, trying to get as wide as he can to that second outside zone. Much better job on that inside clip. And now down the hill here, throttle all the way through, hitting that inside touch and go. Back around the final rotation through the finish line there. And a nice job there by Troy Manners overall. Just maybe a little bit of cleanup on that second outside zone. But Ryan, what was your take there?
It was an interesting initiation. He's not really out wide on the initiation. He's kind of on mid-track, I'd say. But overall, the run was pretty smooth. You look at the front wheels, there wasn't a lot of adjustment. He more or less got to angle and stayed at the angle that he set the car at all the way through each corner. You can see the transitions are smooth. They're not the snappiest, but overall, a very smooth run. Something that we were talking about in the meeting quite a bit was in the style section portion of qualifying was you need to get the car set to angle, maintain that angle all the way throughout the corner. As long as the car is settled, you're going to be doing well score-wise for the style aspect.
All right, so waiting on the score from Troy Manners. Ryan, what is the thing that you can say, a general statement? A lot of people have questions about the initiation and how much throttle can be reduced, speed can be reduced into that first inside clip before you get back on the gas. What's the main thing you can say there as we wait for the score to come in?
Well, typically here you go.
82 for Troy Manners, 8-2. Nice job for him. Puts himself into that first position.
Yeah, you can see the style score is pretty high, 35 out of 40 points. So as I was saying earlier, very subtle looking run. So we're looking for the initiation to be to have speed coming into the initiation. They need to be on throttle and committed on throttle all the way down the hill. So their speed's going to be pretty high. When they get the car at angle, they want to let the car carry down to just before around the inside clip 1 area, which is where you'll typically see everybody get back on throttle and then power up the hill. It's one of those things you need to carry enough momentum to get yourself up the hill, but you don't want to get on throttle too late.
All right, a very popular driver here in the Pro 2 Championship, Ryan Litteral. Snappy initiation there, back on the throttle. Now making his way up the course. Hitting that, straightens out for a second there. Feeling a few drops of water come down on the track as Ryan Litteral works his way through that second inside clip. Now coming back down the hill on the throttle, very loud vehicle hitting that final inside touch and go and that last inside clip. So an aggressive run right there from Ryan Litteral overall. Top score in the 80s so far. And Ryan, what was your take from the other Ryan Litteral?
It was a really good run. He was on throttle, committed right away on that just before inside clip 1. Powered up the hill. He did make that mistake right there just before outside zone 1. But you can see that the car is carrying some good angle throughout the course. He's maintaining momentum everywhere that he should. The overall, a really good run.
Earlier in practice with some of the pro guys, I think you got an opportunity to get in some of the vehicles. If you didn't, I guess you can't say much, but if you did, what were some of the things that that you walked away from in that experience?
Well, it's something that is pretty impressive, like I was saying, is coming down that hill towards initiation. You know that it's fast. You know that they're going around 100 miles per hour, but it's just the way that the car picks up speed coming down the hill, and the level of grip in these cars, that the way they're able to stick to the road, to the asphalt, is really, really impressive. It really pushes you back in your seat in every direction as you're going through the course. But it's something that I think is above any level that most people have experienced in a drift car. It's way above what is normal for these drift cars, I think. It really puts the drivers, and here's a score.
So Ryan Litteral clocking in at an 82. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Ryan. It definitely seems very counterintuitive just how much grip they would have, but the way that these guys have been fabbing the cars and the progression's just been amazing to watch. And our next driver up, Jonathan Hurst. So with Litteral moving out front and Manners tied right now at 82. Jonathan Hurst is our next driver up. And let's see what he can do here in run number 1. Through the chicane, headed down the long straight. Initiating just past that first standing cone. Big e-brake pull, now back on throttle here. Moving his way up the course, trying to hit this first outside zone. Gets caught up a little bit on the inside, forces the line very shallow here. Oh, and does go opposite drift and loses angle for quite a bit there. Definitely want to go back and take a look at that. A sizable mistake coming into the keyhole. Now wrapping through this final inside clip is Jonathan Hurst, and he will finish things off there. So Ryan, what was your impression of that run? And it was at an incomplete.
He stole a cone. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's got a cone under his car still. Initiation looked pretty good. Outside, inside clip 1 looked pretty good until he got just past there, and that was his first mistake that he made. His line was really off coming up to outside zone 1, and you could tell that it was going to be a hard time to get up to the top of the hill. He ended up straightening up, having quite a bit of understeer there before he could get the car back to angle. So overall, not the best run for a first run, but we'll have to see, confer with the rest of the judges here and see what we're going to do on that big straighten.
All right, as Ryan Lantane steps away from the commentary booth, let's welcome in Jared Dienda. How are you?
I'm good, man. I got to tell you what, Atlanta traffic is something serious. Landed at 3:15. I just got here. That's 3 hours of sitting in traffic. That was unbelievable. But happy to be here. Happy to see Pro 2 officially for the first time live stream. I know I was telling some people I was at LS Fest last weekend, and I said that we're going to be streaming Pro 2 qualifying. A lot of the drivers are really excited just to see the caliber of driving that has progressed here. So, again, man, how's it going?
Well, I'm getting caught up. It's been kind of fun playing your role. You take a little bit different of a cadence in your approach. And
right.
Jonathan Hurst has 0, but we've got a few guys in the 80s. We got Ryan Litteral and one other driver that are tied at 82. We've seen a couple incompletes. We're really just kind of anticipating this potential weather that's been coming through, but we've seen some good driving so far, and hoping to get as many runs as we can before we get into rainy conditions, which we hope we don't have to deal with, but it looks almost inevitable at this point.
Atlanta, man, I didn't pack a rain jacket. I packed a sweatshirt, but I'm like, no, it's going to be blazing hot. It's going to be insane. But you know what? I'm stoked right now. Troy Manners, Squirt, aka as he's known, 82. That's awesome to see him. All right, so as looks like we got 6 driver scores here, a little track maintenance, but yeah, this is Atlanta weather, man. It was driving up here, it was, I don't know, about 80, 85 degrees, and then as we pulled into Brazelton, and just so much more foliage, and it's much greener because we're, again, as the crow flies, about an hour, but given traffic a lot longer, but the temperature dropped all the way down to, I mean, it's currently like 70, low 70s right now.
Yeah, it's been it was warm all day for the most part. It's getting cool now, as you said, and probably changed the track conditions a little bit. It's been a really fun day, though, for the most part. We've seen some really good practice, some pro guys, a couple of big crashes during pro practice. We'll really hope for the best in terms of repairs for tomorrow. And you know, the great thing is that this is the first time ever that we're streaming Pro 2 qualifying, so very excited for that and the participation with Link Engine Management and those guys stepping up to help us do that. And overall, I think it's a great way to kick off the first round for these guys. Celebrating
15 years too, man. Back here, man, just thinking 15 years ago, would you think we would have traveled the world and seen the progression of the vehicles?
It surprises me every day.
Every day I wake up, man, the progression of drifting.
I'm still surprised.
Patrick held here in this S13 coming into view. Obviously, all of it's in view. Nice job transition. You see a quick little wavering there into that quick little touch and go into that outer zone. Can he massage it? No, he gets a shallower line here. Lighten up those necks and tires. You can really hear him working the throttle and the clutch pedal. You see the attitude of the car really being adjusted. Not the smoothest line. He does keep it sideways all the way through. Patrick makes his way back up the hill. Now he kind of stands on throttle, but taking a look at this here again, as I said, just kind of some disruption of the vehicle, the attitude of the vehicle.
You can see the initiation there just a bit past that first standing cone, so we'll get a little bit of deduction there on commitment. You see the front wheels moving a little bit as he had that initiation, a little bit of hesitation, now making his way up the hill, hitting that second outer zone, and then through here this second outer zone, rather, that first outer zone, and then way wide on that inside clip. Now, we talked about this in the opening. Coming down the hill here, you can see these yellow cones right here. That is an inside touch and go. It's a brand new section of the course. First time that we've done that in competition, and the judges opting to have that as a judged part of the course. So Patrick Hild will now put run 1 in the books and see where his score comes in overall.
All right, so Patrick does keep all the cones, does not go off course. But yeah, that's an interesting touch and go area, allowing the drivers to stay tight to there, not allowing the vehicles to pass. Obviously, that's not what we're looking for. So we always talk about Casual Friday. Now with the insertion of Pro 2, and especially being here on the live stream, Casual Thursday. But tomorrow, it is an action-packed day, and Patrick held there with a 59. That's a 59 for his first run, puts him into the 5th position spot. So tomorrow, an action-packed day. We start early, we end late, man. It's going to be a long one.
Tomorrow is the longest day of the year as far as the events are concerned. So we're going to be here all day. We're going to be streaming 2 parts of competition. We've got the Pro 2 Top 16. And we've also got Pro 1 qualifying, so a very long day. And I think the final car will probably touch the track sometime around 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah. So it's going to be a late one.
It will be a late one, but it's going to be exciting too, just leading to, you know, already round 3. It's unbelievable that we're already here. So Sebastian Gauthier initiating, bright, high vis orange. I don't think the camera does it any justice. Takes out that front clip. You can hear him just banging away. Nice job there, really standing on a good attitude. Woo, firing off. Really loose setup here. Out of the horseshoe, past that front touch and go as you just spoke about, Ryan, and across the finish line. So walk us through, for the fans again, where exactly are the touch and goes and where are the front and rear zones?
Well, one thing you can see here is on the 3-2-1 cone, Sebastian Gauthier, you can see the painted stem on his vehicle really allows you to see when the driver is using the e-brake, and that's a judging tool. As he comes up the hill, that's going to be our first outer zone. We've got the second outer zone here marked by the red markers. This is the second inside clip. You can see Sebastian's a bit long there. These are markers on the course just for the drivers to see, and then we've got the front inside touch and go, and then the final inside clip, which also acts as the first inside clip coming down the hill. So taking a look at it from this perspective, you can see he is going to just touch that. There'll be maybe not even a deduction. That was really, it looked a lot more violent than it was, but the judges do allow for that. They really want the drivers to get close to those inside clipping points. And as he moves up the hill here, you'll see a good outline here of this second outer zone, really trying to link that first and second outer zone, but then keep your line tight and hit that inside clip. You can see Sebastian was a bit wide there, but highest score of the day so far in 82, so definitely some room for improvement for drivers, and we'll see where Sebastian slots in.
Yeah, Troy Manor squirt coming us from Pittsburgh. That's a 78. A 78 for Sebastian Gauthier puts him into number 3 spot. Moving on down the line. I know we have some Ford power plants in Pro 2, but as our next driver here. A lot of these newcomers into my realm and in my spectrum, but as we have Fakru coming in, and that will be a incomplete run. All right, so that unfortunately will be an incomplete run. They're already on initiation. He will have another opportunity to have his way with the course. And here's a replay, Ryan, but we all know what just happened.
Yeah, just not able to really complete here. Initiates and just starts going into a spin and then basically pulls out of it there. So yeah, clear incomplete. Run 1 will be done for him, and we'll take a look at his second run here as we get through the group. You can see the angle there really exposed from that particular point of view from that camera.
All right, as we continue here again, Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. This is the first round of 4. Jeff Donati, excuse me. Through the chicane, no problem. Here we go. Initiates right at that last cone. That front flip. Standing on it. Very fluid. Minimal corrections from the front wheels. See him locking it up. Almost a bit timid. You could really overshoot that. Just wants to ensure that he does not. Hear him kind of just pedaling it, but very fluid. Very loud car, to be quite honest, but liked how fluid he was through the course. Donati.
So let's take a look at this again here. Jeff Donati, run number 1. You can see he initiates right at that last standing cone, just a touch before it. Big e-brake pull, but then gets back on it. Smoke line starting to pick up, like this fluid motion up the hill here. You can see he does miss his timing a little bit. He comes up short on that second outer zone, as you mentioned, Jared, but much better on this inside clip. Fluid motion coming down the hill. You can see he's really on throttle here, tight on that inside touch and go, and then wrapping around the final inside clip heading up the hill. So a good start for Jeff Donati. You can see right there on that first inside clip, pretty decent job there. Quick flick back around, nice fluid transition. Just a few things that he'll be able to do in getting his timing right coming up the hill to get deeper into that second outer zone. But overall, Jared, a nice start for him. Trying to best in 82. 2 drivers have it right now, and we'll see if Jeff can get into the 80s.
Awaiting the scores here as our next driver gets prepared at the top of the hill. Rain starts to come down pretty aggressively here, and scores are in. And Donati likes to party with an 83. Boom, there you go, an 83. Our new leader, Jeff Donati, with an 83. You can see where he left some points there on the board, 24, 24, 35. And Donati has our number 1 position, but still plenty of drivers. And interestingly enough, Ryan, we're seeing a lot of rain come down here on the track.
Yeah, and the judges will pretty much immediately go into grading on a curve once the rain starts to affect the conditions. And drivers have to be very important here. And you can already see it playing a role on that initiation. It gets really loose here. There's a lot of rubber down on the track. Garrett Denton managing pretty well here, but you can see on that initiation it certainly had an impact. Oh, and he shuts it down up here. Whoa.
Went back to the future. It happens a lot. 88 miles per hour. That's what happens, bro. So all joking aside, Garrett Denton had a major correction there. As you said, judging there on a curve. Seemed like he was fine up until he got into the horseshoe and he got off of that rubber patch. So let's take a look at here again. Denton comes in, boom, right there, gets into the dirt, gets into the dust.
Yeah, you can see that he slid off to the side almost unnaturally, and that was most likely due to some of the water that's coming down on the course. But up here, this doesn't look like it was really much of an effect by water, just wasn't able to keep the back wheels spinning there, had to get off throttle. You could see he dropped what seemed to be a little bit of fuel there. And as we watch this initiation, see how he scoots off to the side almost kind of like unnaturally, gets into the dirt there. And a good adjustment to not go off course, but right here, you'll see, looks like he's gonna drop and see it keeps burning, right? There it is.
Oosh.
Yeah, so unfortunately it will be an incomplete for him, and we'll move on. He'll have one more run to go.
And the rain is continuing to come down. This looks like it could be Kelsey Rawlings. No, Adam Napick. Sorry, I apologize. Just saw the pink, but the headlights, as you can see, just lighten it up.
So Jared, what's going on now is we're hearing a call coming in from race control just to have the race director, the competition director, Kevin Wells, check the course and to clarify whether or not we will be going to wet system, which it basically is just the judging on a scale where the judges are taking into account the conditions. Here's a close-up of that little fireball here, and you can see some of the liquid that was dropped. Sticks around for a second.
A little flash paper accident.
So we are hearing, Jared, that it is going to be officially wet conditions. Now, besides judging on the scale, what that will also mean is that the drivers will be allowed a sighting lap. So if you are at home watching, go ahead and put something in the microwave and kick your feet up, because we're going to basically be seeing, until we get to dry conditions, we're basically going to be seeing a sighting lap from each driver.
Right. And that being basically before they run, they're going to just get a feel for the course, and then they'll have a judged run. All right, so again, this is a non-judged run. This is a sighting lap due to the conditions. You can see how squirrely the vehicles get. Gosh, from a distance, the car looked pink, but up close, a little matte maroon here. Achilles radials on the corner being thrown out, little chunks here and there. Okay, so now the sighting lap has been completed. And here's our first qualifying lap. Throws it in, nice job there by Adam. And getting his bearings on that sighting lap. You can see minimal smoke coming off the back, just due to the wet conditions. As Adam, you can see him in the cockpit, just working the wheel, a bit methodical here, but now it's a good opportunity to showcase. And back across that first, and is now the last front clipping point.
Yeah, really like the way that Adam attacked that. He came with a tempered but still aggressive approach. He kind of lets it float out here for a while, then gets back on throttle, but he keeps angling the car, so he's able to keep drifting in the vehicle, and that's pretty much the key when these conditions come into play like this. You can see that the judges are going to be taking everything into account. You just want to keep the car drifting, keep some level of fluidity, and kind of show that you have that car control in these changing conditions. So with that sighting lap, he does a good job there. He's able to get a score on the books, and that's the most important thing. So great job by Adam.
All right, so our next driver, Kelsey Rawlings. She will be taking her sight lap. All right, here's Kelsey Rawlings coming to us from Florida. She has the Ford-powered S14. All right, so again, Kelsey getting a feel for the course, given the little damp conditions. And there's the score for Adam Napik, a 76. A 76 for Adam on our previous run. That's a 76 for Adam. Again, a lot of new, fresh faces here, and just shows you the progression from Pro-Am to now, the aspirations of being in Pro 2, and then now advancing and wanting the aspirations of being in Pro next year. Speaking of Pro 2, I know there's an event next weekend, Virginia, VIR Hyperfest, giving out 4 Pro 2 licenses just next weekend. All right, as Kelsey now warming up the tires. The rain has stopped falling, but seems that this ideally and hopefully will be maybe the last wet run, because we could go back to a dry condition and no more siding laps. But again, crawling through here in Pro 2. All right, here we go. Kelsey, this is her first qualifying run, again coming all the way from Florida. Kelsey Rawlings, thank you for your patience. Mother Nature decided to dampen the spirits a little bit, but not at all. Here we go. Kelsey, what do you got? Pass that first front clip. Good execution there. Now you can see, like I said, drier conditions are among us. Gets into that rumble strip. See, thrashing that back bumper, doesn't, slows it down quite a bit. Now hammers back down. Hear that thing brapping out there towards the end.
Wow, she was really flying up that hill and held it together. That could have gone real dangerous and off the course, but all credit and kudos to Kelsey there. You can see a little bit of a tentative approach on the initiation, but you can't blame her in these conditions. Now she comes uphill, she's gonna really get on the throttle here, blasting, flying up the hill. Looks like she's heading off course, gets some angle in the car, holds it together, and is able to keep angle in the vehicle through that section of the course. Not reaching totally out to that second outer zone, but again, very challenging conditions here. Does hit that last inside touch and go and through the finish line, and she will have a score on the board.
All right, here goes Kelsey. Once again, you can see that just getting those rumble strips. Look at that, boom, boom, boom. That's gonna slow down the car pretty aggressively, but you see her stand back on the throttle. Smoke pluming out of the back, just showing you that it is a drier condition. All right, so just talking with the officials here, we could go back to the dry conditions. It came down, but it, as you saw, the smoke being created dried up pretty quickly. All right, our next driver, siding lap here. Who do we have? All right, this is a couple of the guys. Yeah, this is Crick. That's what I thought. I know they rounded out their team quite a bit, but Crick Phillippi from Northern California. The team burned the most. You got Crick as well as Joe Tardif. There's Kelsey Rawlings scoring 80. Nice round number there, 8 and 0. Get it, round numbers. So again, Crick Phillippi. Crick warming up his tires there in the back, and it looks like he's ready for war. So Donati, our leader, and it says Litteral. At one point it said Manners was in first, but it says Litteral now Manners. But again, it's going to come down to that second run. Here we go. Crick, what do you got? Crick throws it in, dances in the dirt real quick, goes out to that first clip, excuse me, takes it out. Team burned the most, burning some clips right now. Crick, could see him trying to get all the way to the outside zone. Well done. But a wide swing, didn't set himself up there. A real wide turn around that second front clip in the horseshoe. Now past that touch and go area, and then since he hit that first front clip, the final one is gone. Aggressive driving from Crick Phillippi, but let's break it down, Ryan.
Yeah, let's take a look at this initiation here. Wide swooping turn, drops that right rear, gets a little out of whack, but again, keeps angle in the vehicle, makes an adjustment there as he hits that inside clip up the hill here on the throttle, full blast. Pretty good job on that second or that first outer zone. Has to make an adjustment, falls a little bit short, and then you can see really misses that second inside clip. Now coming back down the hill here, trying to realign himself, get to that touch and go. He's able to do that pretty decently, and then final turn wrapping up the hill. No incompletes there, so he will get a score on the board. Let's take a look at this initiation, getting the car to angle. You can see struggling a little bit. The judges really want to see you put that vehicle to angle with a quick rate, hold it there, and then get back on the throttle as quickly as you can, even though that is considered a deceleration area. So as we're taking a look at the entirety of the run, basically slowing it down here, you can see as he overshoots that second inside clip, he's fighting to get back on the right line here, and it causes him to miss that touch and go by just a touch, but he is able to get a scored run, and at this point, that is pretty much the most important thing.
All right, so Crick Phillippi will get a score on the board as we have our next driver doing his sight pass, Hooman Rahimi. And there is Crick's score, a 74 for Crick. All right, so Hooman Rahimi, he's on his siding lap, but right now, don't know if this is agenda here or unfortunate turn of events for him. Came down the hill and he locked him up going to that first front clip. All right, so Hooman Rahimi struggling to get up the hill here and wondering what's going on. All right, Hooman, looks like Hooman found the gas pedal there. All joking aside, obviously an issue. But as the door says, he's only Hooman. You know what I mean? Can you blame him? So Hooman Rahimi struggling through his siding lap. We'll see how things progress here when it comes to actually qualifying. Quite a few drivers here, talking about 30-plus drivers, give or take a few. I know some had some incidents with the wall or having issues with their vehicle, so quite a few broken hearts here going into tomorrow's game day for Pro 2. And then tomorrow's qualifying for Pro, and then the final game day here at round 3 of the Formula Jet Pro Championship will be on Saturday. Here we go. Hooman Rahimi throws it in for his first qualifying run. Hooman, quite a contrast from his siding lap, and no. just as that happens, that's Hooman shutting it down. So Gremlin rears its ugly head once again in the sighting lap, and now in his qualifying run, his hand goes out the window.
Yeah, definitely exhibiting some frustration there is Hooman. It looked like pretty suspicious activity through his sighting lap, and he did make it back to the line, finished about a quarter of the run, and then had to shut it down. So unfortunately an incomplete for him. Let's take a look at the beginning half of the run here. Wide sweeping initiation, gets to angle, you can see using a little bit of e-brake there, and then gets back on the throttle nice and quickly there. Snappy transition back around, and then right here loses power in the vehicle and has to shut it down. So Jared, we are hearing over the comms that it looks like we may be going back to dry conditions, which means no sighting laps. So take that thing out of the microwave.
If it's been in there, it's been too long. That's funny. All right, so this is... got it.
We're back to dry.
All right, so George K there just turning around just to warm up his tires. George K, it's a lot easier than saying his last name, all joking aside. George Kirakopoulos from Las Vegas, Nevada. And George K, just the weekend after Formula Drift Round 1, we had our Motegi Racing Super Drift Challenge, and George K went really hard into the wall, so I'm happy to see his car back together, back out here on track, ready to tear it up. George Kirakopoulos for his Pro 2 first qualifying run of the season, alongside many other really talented drivers. Some fresh faces, some drivers I've never even seen drive before outside of videos. But here we go, George K. His 370Z. And George K comes up short, and that will be an incomplete run. So George K with an incomplete run. He'll finish out the rest of the course, but it is null and void, and he loops it. Again, unfortunately.
See if we can spy what happens here with George. Snappy initiation, big angle in the car, and you can see just not able to hold it there. Was trying to power through. We've seen a couple guys have some issues with that. Here it is from this angle. Huge angle coming down the hill. And then right there you can see he loses the back end, Jared, and into incomplete right before that first inside clip.
All right, so George loops it not once but twice. Riley Sexsmith in this BRZ. I've seen him drive numerous years before up in Canada, and now here he is, Pro 2. It's great to see him mix it up. Looks like getting the track ready. Somebody on course right now just fixing it, and we will be good to go momentarily for Riley Sexsmith. Again, dry conditions, no sighting lap, so about to send it for his first qualifying run. All right, here we go. For Riley Sexsmith's first qualifying run. Coming in nasty. Here we go. NV Auto gets on the rumble strips. Doesn't get into the dirt. Woo! Zeroes in on that first front clip. Obvious dry conditions. Sexsmith having his way with the course. Well done. Flowy, but does not get all the way out to the outside zone. Tightens up to that front clip. Out of the keyhole. And then past that quick touch and go. The front touch and go instituted for the first time ever. Sexsmith, really quick work. Is that our new leader, Ryan? Donati with an 83 as our current #1 qualifier. Does Sexsmith create some sexy Smith out there?
Well, definitely pushing the limits here. You can see the swooping initiation and really is able to make it look good. He brings a little bit of angle out of the car there, that one section, but it was a high-risk maneuver. He's able to initiate early. A lot of speed coming up the hill. Got about as deep as anybody has gotten into that second outer zone, so you know how challenging that part of the course is. Hits that inside clip, and then down the hill right there, smoothly across that front touch and go. And let's take a look at this. Watch the angle in the vehicle. You can see he pulls a little bit of angle out for a second, but he was really committed there for that first half. And he'll get a slight deduction there, but really aggressive run overall. And is able to finish the run with an exclamation point. Solid performance there from Riley Sexsmith.
Let's see what Sexsmith's got here. Is he our new leader? And yes, with a 92, Riley Sexsmith jumps to the top, throws it down. Ding, ding. I feel like he's smithing some sex out there. Riley Sexsmith, our #1 qualifier as it stands. Andy Hateley, back at it again with that LS. Here we go. E30. What do you got, Hateley? Andy, regardless, Hateley. Past that first front clip. The orange cars, huh? The orange cars really harness the power. Yeah, well done there, blowing some flames. Oh, scrubbed some speed there. Almost sounded like it was gonna fall off, but he stays on it. Past the touch and go and the front clip, maintaining good angle, minimal corrections. Only point of contention for me was coming out of into the inside clip in the horseshoe. Almost sounded like he was going to fall off.
Well, another driver here with that wide sweeping initiation. If you can pull it off, it looks really nice. You can see he does do a pretty good job there. Tons of throttle coming up the hill. Hits that first outer zone, the second outer zone. Again, pretty much as deep as we've seen anybody go there. Now he is able to get real close to this inside clip. Takes a really interesting line here.
Yeah.
Sweeping down, but he's able to get pretty close to that inside touch and go, and then as he rounds back up the hill, he completes the run and really not making too many mistakes. Watch this initiation here. Pretty smooth. You can see very small lack of e-brake there, really letting the momentum of the vehicle carry down into that section of the course and then back on throttle. So overall, this seems like a really strong performance at first pass here. Big angle in the car coming up the hill. You can see, instead of coming down this section of the course, he actually he swoops wide and takes a wider line, but he's still able to get to that front inside touch and go. So, and an interesting choice of line there for Andy Hateley, one of the first we've seen to do that.
Brooks Church in the building. How we doing, Brooksy? Boom, a 90 from Andy Hateley. A 90 from Andy Hateley puts him into #2 position. So well done from the gentleman from Los Angeles, a longtime drifter. Just seen him come in and out from Pro to Pro 2, and now, feeling a little bit of spritz here. Ryan, you're not spitting or anything, are you? Okay. A little bit of spitting here. Lantain, you spitting right now? Did I just catch you spit into the wind and just came back? All right, here we go. And this is the dozer, Dylan Hughes. Past that first front clip, Dylan Hughes to that outside zone into the second outer zone. You can hear him lifting a little bit to get it out to that outside zone, tight to that front clip, exiting the horseshoe, ripping past the touch and go and the final front clip. Dylan Hughes, a newcomer to Pro 2 action. Works on Forsberg's team, and now here he is driving for himself. So, Ryan?
So Dylan Hughes, nice early initiation there, very aggressive. E-brake pull, and then out back on throttle here. Heading up the hill. Nice line driving towards that first outer zone. You can see he drives a bit towards that second outer zone, not able to fill it completely. Like to see him use his momentum up the hill, as that is a bit of a decel area there as specified by the judges, but his line coming down the hill just about perfect as he wraps around that last inside clip. So overall, strong performance from Dylan. You can see gets the car to angle, pulls a little bit out, and from this point of view, you really get a good idea of what the vehicle is doing relative to where he initiates and where he ends up on course. And then there you can see just a little bit short on the inside of that second outer zone, but nice and tight on that inside clip. Great fluid transition back around the hill. And then right there on that front inside touch and go, he does a really good job there. Expect this to be a very solid score.
Well, a 92 is the score to beat. Currently our leader, Riley Sexsmith. Andy Hateley backs it up with a high score as well, sitting in second with a 90, and scores are in for the dozer Dylan Hughes, an 87. So a strong, respectable score. Not the leader, puts him into the number 3 position, but a strong, respectable score. That should definitely hold up, given this very talented group of Pro 2 drivers. Trenton Beecham coming all the way from Southern California. We see him a lot at the Motegi Racing Super Drift Challenge, which is the invitational event at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. And Trenton Beecham comes down. He's got his signature camouflage fenders into that first front clip, wrapping away, powers up into that first outer zone. Well done by Beecham. You can hear him lifting a little bit just to get it to slide out. Well done by Beecham. Out of the horseshoe, really putting the car in the right places. Like I said, just a talented field of drivers here in Pro 2 as Beecham.
Yeah, Beecham had a pretty decent year last year in Pro 2, kind of finished middle of the pack at 14th, and trying to build on that, trying to get into that Great 8. You can see here starting off pretty strong, nice and fluid coming up the hill. You can see staying on throttle, getting deep into that second outer zone. That's about as deep as we've seen so far. We keep seeing drivers inch further and further as we get down in the lineup here. Great job on that front inside touch and go. You can see opting for the painted tires for the judges to have that siding marker, and you can see clearly there when he's using the e-brake, and it's a very minimal usage. And what Ryan Lantane was talking about in the early opening was there's going to be an expected deceleration area there, but they would love to see drivers use the momentum of the vehicle and then get back on throttle as quickly as possible. And I think Trenton did a pretty good job of that, and also carrying his momentum up the hill to that second outer zone. He let it float up there. He got back on throttle. He didn't drive to that section of the course. He really maintained overall quality car control, and I think it's going to pay dividends here in his first score.
Dividends. Diversify your bonds. As Trenton Beecham waits for his score, and there we go. Trenton Beecham in the 82, an 82 for Beecham. Okay, moving right along here. Alec Robbins. Alec Robbins, we saw him campaign a vehicle with CoroWorks last year, and he's still working with CoroWorks. A Drift Indy champion, or MDU, believe me. Or not believe me, but if I believe. Believe me. Believe. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, Alec Robbins, 2016 MDU champion, rookie of the year. 2017, he was with CoroWorks and campaigned that vehicle, now campaigning his own vehicle.
It's got a leak. Kevin's making him qualify to fix it.
Oh, and unfortunately for Alec Robbins, he is calling he's forced to call a competition timeout. Basically our technical director up there says you need to get that worked out. So there was a leak. Believe me. All right, here we go. Brandon Schmidt. There's our leaderboard. The Link Engine Management Pro 2 Championship. Here we go. Brandon Schmidt, show me what you got. Schmidt, whoa, dancing, flirting with the course edge. Winding it up. You see him shimmying his way up there. Hippie, hippie shake. Into the outer zone. Ryan, a bit wonky here, not only with just the attitude of the vehicle, but you can hear winding out that Mass engine, the Mass Motorsports engine. You can hear him just whacking away on it, but you saw him coming up the hill, just left to right, right to left.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of just charging super hard and realizing that if I go for this, that it could be a bit too much. And you can see he holds back on it. He is able to pull it off. I like the way he transitioned back around, very snappy there. I'm sure they'll see some deductions for that initiation, but overall you can see he's putting it together. He's gonna have a score on the board. A little bit long on that second inside clip coming back down the hill here. Tons of smoke being generated, so a lot of power being put down there. And as he finishes up, he'll have a score on the board. Let's see where he slots in with our 32 drivers.
Yeah, kind of right from the start here, you see him flirting with that course edge. I mean, I think he wanted to get gangster with it, but just kind of threw him off there. So he's definitely going to take a different approach on the second run, more calculated. But again, given 30-plus vehicles, and we're whittling it down to 16, so nearly half the field is going to be watching from the sidelines tomorrow, as Pro 2 game day is tomorrow night, and then Pro Round 3 of the Formula Drift Blackmagic Pro Championship is Saturday. Scores are in here for Brandon Schmidt. And there they are, 73, a 73. It's not a bad score, but again, you got to get in that top 16. Yeah, look at that, Ryan pointing out, circling with his finger. You can't see that, but he was circling the 12 and the 15 there on style. So a lot of points left there on the board for Brandon Schmidt. Ryan, who do we have next? What driver is this? I know Ryan always, no offense to Brodie, he's a talented driver, but his name is definitely fun to say.
It is. It's
maybe
my favorite name.
Brodie Goble. Brodie Goble out here. Yeah, ripping through the gears. Nice job by Goble. He kind of had that same approach as Brandon Schmidt. Great look. Oh, great looking car. And then right before he hit that clip. But Goble going for the gusto. Shred it, bro. As Goble brings it around. And past that final front clip, Brodie Goble. Right.
Well, Brodie Goble did have a strong performance last year, strongest of the season at this particular course, finishing in the top 10. And Jared, you can see in the initiation there, just coming up a little bit tight on that line. You can see the front bumper kind of explodes off the car on the left-hand side. He's trying to make his way up to that second outer zone. You can see he's not getting the line just right, but he's able to get closer to that second inside clip. Now coming down the hill here, you can see right there he passes through that inside touch and go and then through the finish line there. So he'll have some opportunities to make another pass. And let's see if we can see exactly what happens here. He gets that front left wheel just on the inside of the barrier. It taps, it explodes the cone, but is actually that front wheel dropping off into the dirt that looked like it caused the most damage to the vehicle. Here it is from the judge's camera. Initiates little just in front of that one cone, and then right there you can see just drops down and knocks the bumper off. A little bit more, it looked pretty aggressive, but he managed it really well, and he'll have a score on the board. So let's see where he comes in with our other 32 drivers.
Scores are in for Brodie Goble. And it's a 67. So yeah, like you said, it looked a lot more violent than it actually was. But as more cars go past that first front clip, they're digging in. So Brodie, just another shovel, digging out that hole right there past the gator strip on that first turn. So it's going to cause more trauma to these vehicles. All right, Ola Jaeger, as this vehicle has seen, it kind of has a historic past. This vehicle first saw U.S. soil at the Red Bull Drifting World Championships years ago with the Formula Drift champion Frederick Osbo, the Norwegian Hammer, behind the wheel. The car has been deemed Chucky, and I'm assuming that's after the Child's Play doll, right? I mean, just has a lot of scars, but comes back from the dead, and yeah, little dee-doo-doo-doo. Here we go. So Japan Auto, Toyota Supra, Ola Jaeger powers up into that first outer zone. Nice job from him. About where everybody else is putting it. I want to see these guys just push for that second outer zone. They really got to hang it out there, but so far so good for Ola Jaeger. The next entire smoke up in the air. Again, 2 options of tires in Pro 2. And Ola Jaeger gained some applause from some fans.
Yeah, Jared, that's a great point. You know, you've got both Nexen and Achilles servicing the Pro 2 drivers, and as we take a look at Ola Jaeger, it's going to be a long weekend for those manufacturers, really having to get the tire counts right and managing all the competitors, doing a great job here. So much tire consumption will happen throughout this weekend. Like you said, Ola, just about right where everybody else has been going on that second outside zone, so that becoming a bane for just about every driver so far. And as he comes through his own smoke line down the hill, you can see nice and tight on that final inside clip is Ola Jaeger.
All right, so Ola awaits his score. Again, hashtag FDATL, hashtag Pro2 as well. Let me know you're watching the first round of 4 of the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship. Again, round 1 of 4. All right, Ola Jaeger is a 91, puts him into 2. So puts him in position number 2. Ola Jaeger. Ryan Lantain corrected me there on the name pronunciation. I appreciate it there, buddy. Story of the traveling drift pants. Ryan Lantain, the story of Ryan Lantain. Here we go, Josh Robinson. Here's in his Holden Ute as Robinson into that first front clip. A bit far off it, but now he's got a lot of horsepower. Again, the supercharger working its way. Nexen tires in that second outer zone. There we go. Now he was seems to be off those front clips. He knows how to put the back end of the vehicle into those outer zones. See a lot of hop from the vehicle as Robinson comes back up the hill. Ryan, break it down again. You're kind of stunned by just this loud car and the attitude of it, just kind of jumping up and down. Seemed like he hit the outer zones, but he has some difficulty with the front.
Watch the initiation here. That's the last standing cone. He initiates probably about 20 feet past that, so there's definitely going to be some points taken off for that. You can see the car bouncing around a little bit. Does a pretty good job on that first outer zone. Lets the car drift right into that second outer zone, so good points there. But then the line is off. He misses that second inside clip. Nice fluid transition back around. Big throttle here. Does a pretty good job on that inside touch and go. So really the initiation was the tricky part there. Let's watch it again. 3, 2, 1. He initiates maybe
late.
40 feet past that that last standing cone. So I mean, it's not an incomplete, but there certainly is going to be a deduction. And as Ryan was explaining in the show open, initiation is now part of fluidity and commitment, and a lot of it is on the commitment side because of the commitment needed for initiation.
Right. One hand feeds the other, right?
You know, and so you know, I imagine that when the style score comes up, we're going to see some deductions there.
All right, scores are in for Robinson and a 66, so very low. And yeah, there's that style, so 15 and 10. That's what you're talking about, Ryan. So lacking some points there. Line and angle as well. So Josh Robinson needs to tidy it up. I know he's, I don't know if he's the furthest driver, come from the furthest location, but definitely far regardless. He's got the Techno Kangaroo on the side. Travis Reeder. And you can see the Link ECU qualifying leaderboard. Sexsmith still up top of that 92. Let's see what you got, Reeder. Nice job by Travis. Quick initiation. Consistent throttle control all the way up the hill. Quick lift to get it out, drag it out. Now transitions out of the horseshoe. Past the front clip, and there you go. So not past the front clip, but the front touch and go into that final front clip. So Travis Reeder, Ryan, what are you looking at statistically?
Well, yeah, he is definitely going to be one to watch. Travis Reeder was basically dominating the first half of the championship. He had a second place in Orlando. He had the win in Atlanta, so he loves this track. He fell off in Monroe in Texas and allowed Kevin Lawrence to beat him, but only by 2 points.
Yeah, that's right.
And a very close championship. So this guy is a real contender. You can see here by his first run, he clearly has a lot of competitive experience, and he's very used to that vehicle. So Starting off real strong here is Travis Reeder. You can see just a little bit of hesitation, but you really get an idea of how he's using his e-brake on that initiation. He sweeps through that first inside clip and back up the hill here. You can see now the throttle really coming on. Fluid motion up the top of the hill, letting the car just kind of float out, trying to get into that second outer zone. He does have to leave it a bit early, but he's able to keep it tight to that inside clip.
Scores are in for Reeder. 92 is the score to beat. He gets a 91, a good score for Travis Reeder, a real contender for the Pro 2 Championship last year, and decided to vie for another Pro 2 effort. And here is Reeder with a 91 on his first run. So speaking of Kevin Lawrence, here's Kevin Lawrence. He's doing double duty, Pro 2 and Pro. As Kevin Lawrence in Juku Racing, he is your defending Pro 2 champion. Big Manji entry here from his R30. Oh, and shuts it down. So that will be an incomplete run, I believe. Yep. And just to solidify it even more.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunate for him, he does have that incomplete, and he really has the white paint visible on his wheels. And if we pop the replay up, you'll see he just had full e-brake pulled down the hill, and it looked like he was getting in trouble to the point where the car was starting to basically stop, and something wasn't clicking for him. Let's take a look at this here. He's going to initiate now, e-brake, hold, and right here, just not able to get it into gear and get moving, has to shut it down. But Jared, last year, Kevin Lawrence started off really strong. He had that win in Orlando. Then he struggled in the middle part of the season, then came back and won in Texas. And again, that 2-point disparity between first and second place made for a really interesting championship. So he will have an incomplete on run number 1, but Kevin Lawrence will be back at it. And your current defending champion will have a go in his second run here for top 16 positions for tomorrow.
So he'll be doing double duty and in separate cars, actually. He's going to be campaigning the R32 in Pro 2 as well as his S14.3, excuse me. All these numbers and letters here, sorry. But the R32 of Lawrence, yeah, massive e-brake pull there. Wow. Talking about flat spot in the tires. Yeah, so Lawrence, regardless of that e-brake, he will have an incomplete on his first run. So again, double duty. He's piloting the R32 in Pro 2, and then his S14.3 in the Pro class. All right, here we go. Raz in his Mitsubishi Evo. I wasn't here for his first run, correct? Okay, so Raz in his Evo. Again, a newcomer to Pro 2 competition. Traditionally an all-wheel drive car, obviously, if you know the car world. Raz. You can hear him kind of off and on throughout the horseshoe. Keeps it sideways gracefully at some points. And Raz, let's see how he does compared to his first run, Ryan.
Well, you can see another driver using that sweeping initiation, kind of slow puts it into that first section of the course. You can see he's kind of getting his bearings here, but really just trying to get a score on the board. And again, Jared, as we start to see where these numbers are adding up, we're gonna start to have that cutoff, that top 16 cutoff for these 32 drivers. And what that number is going to be, I have to imagine it's going to be in the mid-70s at least. So Raz wrapping through that last inside clip, and he will be done for the day, at least as far as qualifying is concerned. Let's take a look at his initiation. You can kind of see that slow roll initiation. Like to see him get that quick rate to angle. And so he'll take a few points off there, but overall able to get a score on the board, and we'll see where that slots him in.
All right, Raz with his second run. Raz awaiting his second run score. Our first driver for their second qualifying run. Schneider, how we doing, Mike? What up, buddy? Got the fam out here, Schneider fam. I'm not your dad, Brooke. All right, scores are in for Raz. And it's a 53, so it does better by 1, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough for Raz to see top 16 competition here in this Link Management Pro 2 Championship. So Raz on his debut does not make top 16, but looking forward to seeing him at future Pro 2 rounds. Dustin Miles. All right, here we go, Dustin Miles. You can see him really kind of laying off the throttle. Miles slamming it into that first outer zone. Nice job. Very J-looking car here out of the horseshoe. Past that touch and go. Ooh.
Well, it's all going to come down to that, Jared. We will take a look as on the approach, you'll see 2 orange cones on either side of the track right here. That is the finish line. The drivers need to be drifting past that section of the course. So I imagine that this part of the run for the judges is really only going to matter if he did not lose drift before that section of the course. So let's take a look here. Coming back down the hill, hitting that inside touch and go. Now let's take a look as he tries to get right there, and that does look to be prior to the line. I see the judges shaking their head. That seems to be an indication that that will be an incomplete, unfortunately. But just to clarify with Ryan Lantane, those 2 orange cones.
I don't go to your office and boo you. I'm gonna start booing you. I'm going to talk to HR about you, Andy. Who is HR, by the way? If there was HR at FD, Andy would be fired. So would you. No.
So just conferring with the judges there, yeah, just evaluating that run, and then you can see there they are dropping the incomplete for Dustin Miles, unfortunately. Beautiful looking vehicle, but not able to get a score out of that run. And again, as you took a look at the replay, Jared, you could see just straight before the finish line, sadly.
And we've seen that in pro, you know, I mean, just numerous times before. If you're gonna start, you gotta finish, and that's just, you know, if you're gonna mandate the rules, you gotta all play by them. So unfortunately for Dustin Miles, that correction right before the straightening out of the finish line, Dustin Miles does get double incomplete runs, so we will not see him in competition. All right, here we go. Kendrick Meyer. Great looking E36 BMW here. Really flew it up the hill. Oh, just I say that, kind of gets out of drift just briefly, but reinitiates and then gets into the dust. Little dust splash there into some of our media. Kendrick Meyer, just a nice clean exhaust note. Just as far as there were some mistakes as far as line and getting out of shape, but just it seemed like he was very comfortable in this car.
Well, he must have a great spotter as well, or somebody letting him know, because he's got that 76, so he wants to try to improve on that. As soon as we start seeing where that cutoff marker is going to be, as he comes up the hill here, you can see a pretty good job on that first inside clip, and he's able to fill that second outer zone, though he does go a little bit long there, so he pushed it a little bit too hard. But you got to give him the credit for the aggressiveness and asserting himself in that section of the course. And then finally through that last inside clip, up the hill he goes, trying to best a 76. Let's take a look at the initiation here from this angle. You really see that he kind of locks in there. He holds the angle. It's not the biggest angle, but it does look pretty smooth and consistent. So he will finish up his run and wait for the judges to give their number.
All right, so Kendrick Ryan, as you say, awaits his score. You can see him get nasty into that dirt zone, that second outer zone. The pro drivers having practice earlier today. They will have qualifying tomorrow, and then Pro 2 top 16 tomorrow evening, very late. Top 16 beginning at 10 o'clock. So pretty late tomorrow night. As Kendrick Meyer. All right, and the scores are in. An 83, so he definitely betters it. An 83 from Kendrick Meyer puts him into number 6 position. That is a confident score there. Will it hold with still a lot of drivers yet to run on their second run? So Kendrick Meyer with an 83 puts him into number 6 position. David Mesker.
Pressure time for him, Jared. This is one of the incompletes that I think right before you came.
Yep. So Kendrick Mesker, and he's driving Forrest Wang's, essentially his backup car. I saw on Instagram he's excited about David Mesker driving it. Mesker looks confident right now. You can see him just talking about that floating, the Vatasia S14. Could have been tied to that front clip. Is this enough here for Mesker? And Mesker past the finish line. It's always interesting seeing another person's vehicle. This is Forrest Wang's vehicle, and then somebody else behind the wheel and how it looks.
Well, clearly this is going to put him in a much better position than the incomplete. You can see big e-brake pull there, trying to scrub some of that speed headed toward the kitty litter, but snappy rotation back around coming up the hill. Starting to see some of these scores fall in, and it looks like the cutoff right now, Jared, is about 73. So he's going to need at least a 73 to find his way into the top 16. And it looks like he's off to a good start here. He's able to fill that last touch and go before hitting that inside clip. So a good improvement. Let's take a look at this initiation. Gets it just right at that last standing cone. And you can see he's got some pretty good angle there. Trying to scrub some speed and not go into that kitty litter. And overall, he was able to improve his performance on run number 2.
It's crazy how just when you slow it down, get those different perspectives, it looks exciting. It looks like it's got all the making of a solid qualifying run, just those little nuances. Boom, 86. So definitely, like I said, everybody's jumping up here. They're getting maybe on their first run, getting their bearings, finding out what's going on, get the jitters out, and then, yeah, that's how it goes. So congratulations to him at 86. Still not over yet, as Rodolfo Martinez. Yeah, Phillippi there with a 74 and a 73. Schmidt has a 73, so Martinez a 69. Rodolfo Martinez into that first front clip. Ooh, crawling, and is that definitely came to almost a halt, but not all the way. And yeah, I'm seeing, unfortunately for Rodolfo, having some major issues here. I mean, Ryan, right out of the gate in that first front clip, he almost came to a halt. He kept it sideways. I think maybe they were going to score. It was going to be probably low, but then in the horseshoe, a big correction.
Well, he's got to improve because he's below 70 here, and you said he's got that big, long e-brake pull, and the judges can see that in plain view. He doesn't get on the throttle till past that first inside clip. But that's going to be a big chunk of mistakes there, not only on fluidity and commitment, but then there you have the opposite drift. It was really quick, but it is a very large mistake. You can see he almost shuts it down coming around this corner. I don't see this improving his second or his first run, and he may have to hold with that 60, that 63, I believe is what he had, and that is probably not going to get him into the top 16.
All right, so it is a incomplete run, so it's a 69 actually. So a 69 doesn't even get him in the top 16. Like we said, Craig Phillippi sitting on that bubble. Troy Manners, he had an 82 on his first run, and he is currently he was in top 5, and now he is not with an 82. So it shows you there he is sitting in 9th. He's going to try to better it here. Coming us from Pittsburgh. iConcepts, and they're working on the vehicle as well. Here we go. What do you got? Squirt, as he's known. Neo Motorsports. S14.5. Seen him drive at some of the Club Loose events over the years and some different events. Seen him at Formage of Canada, and here we go. Troy Manners exits out of the horseshoe past that front touch and go. Transitions into that final front clip. So Manners trying to better an 82. Was that enough, Ryan?
Well, Jared, a lot of guys in that 82 to 83 range in the mid-upper pack. So really trying to push the limit here on this second run. You can see he has to pull some angle out of the car. He was committed there for a second, but then didn't seem like he was going to make it. He pulled some angle out of the car to make his way around that first inside clip. Kind of drives his way into that second outer zone. You can see he goes very, very long after that second outer zone, causing him to miss that second inside clip. Now coming back down the hill here, he does a much better job on that inside touch and go and the final inside clip. But had some trouble on initiation, a little bit of trouble from outside zone 1 to outside zone 2. And let's see here, you can see a big angle on the car, but then right there he pulls it out. And maybe if he just would have stayed a little bit more committed, he might have been able to pull that off. But a bit of a mistake there that may not improve on his 82.
All right, Manners awaits his second score. All right, feeling a little bit of a spritz here once again. Scores are in for Manners. 78, so it is not better than his first score, so he still sits in the 9th position. Will that hold? He's got to count his prayers right now. Count his blessings. Say his prayers, excuse me. As next up, Ryan Litteral. He has an 82. He was tied for first at one point, but the plot thickens. Here we go. This Coro Works Nissan Z comes in ablazing. Into that first front clip. Nice job by Ryan Litteral. As into that second outer zone, standing on it. Bit of hiccupy there through the horseshoe. Now stands on it. You could, I mean, definitely a loud car. You can barely hear yourself think. Ryan Litteral in that Coro Works 350Z. Coming to us from California, working with a local shop here in Georgia, Coro Works. Ryan does that better in 82.
Well, let's take a look at it one more time. You can certainly hear all the throttle inputs that he gives. He does a pretty good job on that initiation. He uses the e-brake just the right amount, gets back on the throttle, heavy up the hill here, and then right here he kind of loses or he almost looks like he grips up there and loses some angle in the vehicle and is unable to pull that off very cleanly. You can see him coming uphill here. He's got good angle in the car, and then right here starts to pull some out of the car and then kind of has to get back on the throttle to get that car back to angle and hit that second inside clip. But unfortunately, it will be a mistake for him. He's got that 82, as you said, Jared, trying to better that and move up into the rankings, as all the drivers in the top 16 will be slotted according to how they qualify. 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, and so on. So positioning is very important.
All right, scores are in for Ryan Litteral, and an 87. He does better just a little bit more, but maybe could breathe a little sigh of relief there, just solidifying, jumping him up a little more. But again, I use that word loosely. Solidifying, so an 87 currently puts him into number 5 position. All right, so our next driver up at the top of the hill. A little bit of sprinkling here on track, but I don't think it's enough. Raindrop, drop top. All right, here we go. Jonathan Hurst. Jonathan Hurst, whoa, flirts with the edge of the track. Hurst coming into that first outer zone. Big angle there from Hurst. I'm kind of whacking away at the clutch. And Hurst really hammering down. You can see evidence in the sky, but Hurst, where does that land him? He did not have a score in his first run, so obviously better than his run number 1.
Yeah, can't go anywhere but up, and good that he got a score on the board here. Now it's really going to be, what is that number, Jared? We're seeing the 82 now starting to creep up as maybe the cutoff, but at least an 80 as he heads up the hill here, trying to get deep into the second outer zone. Pretty good job there, but you can see a lot of guys still struggling, not able to get all the way out to the back of the course there, as we've seen some of the pros do quite easily. And as we get to that last inside clip here, you can see just a little bit of a kind of a hesitant motion on the throttle through this second outer zone. and pretty decent job on the second inside clip, but you can see the tendency for a lot of the drivers to leave portions of that zone unfilled by about a foot or 18 inches or so. Here's the initiation. You can see he's on the e-brake, and then right there gets back on throttle, rips through that first inside clip. So he will definitely better the 0, of course. It's just a matter of what is that number going to be.
It's such an intimidating, run up. You're running up, you're seeing the kitty litter in front of you, a 70, so that will not be enough for Hurst. But, you're coming down that hill, ripping, flying, initiate, and all you see is that kitty litter. And just, I encourage you to check out, the driver's POV and see what they see, because it is pretty sketchy. And for a lot of these guys, this is, the first time they're on this course. Patrick held his first score of 59. He needs to better that, and like you said, that cutoff about 73, excuse me. Crick Phillippi on that bubble. Whoa, buddy. And Patrick held. Seems to figure it out here in the latter portion of the track. Out of the horseshoe goes held. Ryan, just some wide swings here from Held, and again, on initiation, you saw him kind of come in and shimmy his way into that front clip.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that again. You can see here, basically, he kind of initiates, hesitates, breaks the car the opposite way, and then is into initiation. But it wasn't much of initiation. It was like he made a mistake here. He was trying to initiate, he couldn't. Then the car broke the other way, and then he finally got into drift there. So he's definitely flirting with an incomplete, but even without that, I don't know if it's going to be the score that he wants, but I have to imagine that with that opposite drift, there could be the potential of the incomplete.
And it is. It's an incomplete. Let's make it official. So unfortunately for Patrick Held, his 59 on his first run is not enough. He sits in 21st, which definitely keeps him outside of that top 16 for tomorrow's main competition. Next up, the retina burning Sebastian Gauthier, the high-vis orange. Screen definitely doesn't capture how bright this thing is. And he has a 78. All right, Gauthier going to pull up to the start line for his second run. Like I said, a 78 on his first run. And here we go, Gauthier on his second run. What's he going to put down? He's got that 78 on his first run, comes into that first front clip. You can see that smoke trail. Some disruption in that line, firing off. You can see him massage his way into that second outer zone. Sounds like a transformer out there. All the anti-lag and firing off, and wow, a lot of noises coming from the car for Gauthier. Here we go.
Yeah, a bit of chopping up the course there. Something the judges want to see in terms of fluidity. You can see there's back on throttle, but he kind of squirts forward almost in a kind of a really odd way there, not able to draw the line that is smooth. And then up here you can see has some trouble with the second outer zone. He's able to get into the zone, but he kind of drives out into the dirt and had that little hiccup beforehand. Now coming back down the hill here, you can see nice job being on the throttle, hits that inside touch and go, and then right there off throttle for a second through the finish line. So we'll see where that slots him in. I believe he had a 78 on run one, so he's doing okay so far, but I have to imagine that number is going to go, that 73, 74 cutoff is going to go a bit north. I think you want at least a 78 or 80 to be safe as these numbers continue to improve.
Yeah, we have still, going into Kevin Lawrence, who has an incomplete run. He's doing double duty this weekend. He's probably going to get the most track time. He will, technically, out of anybody. So Sebastian got a 79, so he betters it just by 1 point. But that 1 point could be the make or break there. Just an update, Fakru was to be the next driver, but he is a DNF, or DNS for him. So right now, Jeff Donati. Donati ripping into this first front clip. Oh, but then shuts it down. So all for naught, but truth be told, Donati does have an 83. Donati has an 83 on his first run. So an 83 puts him into top 10. And that will be an incomplete run for Donati. But still holds, again, a top 10 position. He is sitting in 9th.
Well, let's see what went wrong here, Jared. Snappy initiation, big e-brake pull, and then right here just shuts it down. Does not complete the run, so pretty self-explanatory. But like you said, he's holding on to that 83, so he's in good position right now. But we still have the likes of Goble and Hooman still to go. So some Chargers left that are just sitting outside the top 16 for the moment.
Garrett Denton. Garrett Denton on his second run. He has an incomplete run on his first. This is do or die for Denton. All right, looks like past that front clip, looks like he's figured it out. To that second outer zone, gets not all the way out there, keeps it sideways out of the horseshoe as Denton. Ooh, buddy. Oh. And Denton, you saw him correct, and just panic mode set in. And unfortunately, Denton goes into the wall.
Yeah, and I think that was right before the finish line as well. So let's take a look at this. You can see just struggling a little bit here, trying to find that fluidity and the commitment on initiation, trying to get himself out of that incomplete position, Jared. And as he comes up the hill here, he's looking pretty good so far, you know, making a couple little mistakes there, trying to keep himself in a consistent path and line, drawing it down the hill here. But it really is going to come down to this last section of the course. Let's take a look at this. He transitions. You can see he loses angle in the car and then drives right in front of the finish line.
Man.
So I don't know how the judges are going to judge that, but at least from, you know, the obvious, it seems like he's off course prior to the finish line. Right there, that being the finish line, that yellow cone, excuse me, that orange cone. But the tougher part, obviously, of this to watch is him going into the wall. So hopefully he's okay there and no major damage to the vehicle. But I suspect that the judges will have to make a tough call here.
Yeah, tough for, I think even tougher for him, the driver. Yeah, that's right there, man. And unfortunately, that correction, you knew it was going to happen. As he's outside of his vehicle. Glad he's okay. Join the community, embrace the heat, start the conversation. Ready to see and create Formula Drift content? Again, join the conversation, formuladee.com. Also, MagnaFlow. Win a free MagnaFlow exhaust. Text MF Drift to 555-888. It's as simple as that. We got some downtime here, so text MF as in MagnaFlow Drift to 555-888. Win a set of wheels. Tag a photo of you watching this weekend's event. Hashtag FDDRIFZ Drifts. And enter to win a free set of Drifts wheels as run by Aramis Ori Bakhshis. Again, hashtag FDDRIFZ. All right, so we'll take a quick break. When we come back, more Formula Drift Pro 2 action. This is the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship Round 1 of 4. Thanks for joining us, Ryan Sage, Jared Deanna. When we come back, more action from here at Road Atlanta. All right, welcome back as we have the clear track. We have Adam Napik here, a 76 on his first run. And if you can recall, Adam actually saw wet conditions on his first run. So now he has way better conditions. There is our leaderboard. We are live here at FD Atlanta. Again, round 1 of the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship. Sexsmith, our #1 qualifier as it stands. Ola Jaeger sitting in second. Reader, Hateley, and Litteral. Here we go. Let's see what Adam's got. He has a 76 on his first run. Throws it into the first front clip. Very fluid. Whoa, and I say that, and he comes out of drift, and that's going to be an incomplete run. So he has bigger fish to fry here. A 76 that does currently have him in the top 16.
Yeah, Jared, as you mentioned, he is almost literally on the bubble. So
Oof.
he's on position 14. We've seen that number creep up. It was low 70s. Now it's mid 70s. I imagine it will probably go higher than that. Let's see what happens here to Adam. Gets a pretty decent start here. Gets right back on the throttle just past the finish line. Making his way up the hill here through that first outside zone, and then right there starts losing angle in the car. Opposite drift, shuts it down, realizes he can't continue, and so that will be an incomplete for him. He'll have to hope that the 76 is enough to get him through, and we still have a couple drivers, a handful of drivers rather, that have some incompletes that are very capable of 80s and higher. So he's going to have to wait on the sidelines and see what happens as he hangs on to that 76.
All right, so Kelsey Rawlings pulls to the start line. She has an 80 on her first run. That's a comfortable spot. You can see she sits in 12th currently. All right, here goes Kelsey on her second run. Her first run is a bit choppy. She kept it tight to all the line, you know, what the judges are looking for there, but seems a little bit disruptive. Now she seems a lot more fluid here in the second run. Remember, she got into the gator strip, but now, whoa, works it all the way out to that second outer zone. Kelsey out of the horseshoe. Nice job by her. The sun shows up here for Kelsey's run. Does that better in 80 run. I got to say, she got all the way to the outside zone, almost too far, or definitely too far, but a lot more fluid than her first.
Yeah, some unhappy photographers down there in that second outer zone, but one of the few drivers to actually push it and take a risk to get out to that second outer zone, so judges may reward her for that. You can see still struggling a little bit with the initiation and the fluidity of that section of the course. This is where she drops that left rear, but she does fill that zone, and she is following that inside line that a lot of drivers are using through that second inside clip. So you got to give her credit there. She does a good job on that inside touch and go. And then you can see why she had that 80 on run number 1. She's got a good foundation to build off of. She had a little bit of a problem with the initiation and the commitment there, but she is able to fill that zone there, just drops that rear left. So we'll have to see. She's got that 80, she's in a good position. She'd love to pad onto that and get more in the middle of the pack, but now it's in the judges' hands, and we'll see where she finishes up. Here's another shot of the initiation. You can see just some of the drivers not fully committed, and a lot of them are initiating a bit later than they should. Some are getting those early initiations and not getting the timing right, so we haven't seen anybody really truly master that yet, and that will come as they head into tomorrow and practice and getting into the top 16. But for now, she will be done for the day, and see if she can improve on that first run.
All right, so Kelsey Rawlings awaits her second score. And does she better it? Coming all the way from Florida. 84, yes she does. So Kelsey Rawlings with an 84 on her second run. She does better an 80 to an 84. Next up, Crick Phillippi. Crick is currently 15th with a 74. He wants to throw down. and put up a stronger score just to solidify being in the top 16. Gets into that dust once again, gets into the dirt, takes out that front clip. Very aggressive driving, using all the course here from Crick. A shallower line here in the horseshoe. Throws him off line to tighten up to that front clip, but now, see, I think this is where Crick's gonna shine. And past that finish line. So, does that better 74 is the question, Ryan. Again, he is in the top 16, but can he better it?
Well, the bottom line is he's trying to pad that 74 as much as he can. He'll take a 75, a 76, whatever it's going to take, but you can see a little bit of lacking of fluidity and commitment there on that initiation and trying to really get his bearings here. A very standard line that we've seen, that shallower line, not really getting out to that second outer zone, almost kind of foregoing it there. And as he comes down the hill here, you can see he does a pretty decent job on that inside touch and go and that last inside clip. So looking to improve on the 74. Let's take a look at the initiation one more time. You can see from this angle, he drops that left rear, keeps good angle in the car, and then just a tiny bit tight as he tried to flow through that first inside clip. So finishing up his run, he's done for the day and trying to find his way into the top 16. He's there so far, but wants to build on that 74.
Just a few more drivers left. Just a few more drivers left. All right, just about 13 drivers left. Scores are in here for Crick, and that's a 70 on his second run. So he's going to have to sit and wait and find out if a 74 will be enough for him to see head-to-head competition. So Hooman Rahimi, he had a 0 on his first run. He really had some issues, and he had wet conditions on his first run. They started to dry out when he was out there, but seems that I'm seeing the headlights turn off and then on. You wonder what's going on with Rahimi's vehicle, and shuts it down once again. Hooman has some major issues here, unfortunately, with his vehicle. So that will be double incompletes for Rahimi. All right, so Hooman Rahimi, no slow-mo drift here. And Hooman will exit out, and that will be the end of his weekend. So Rahimi take a look at it again here, Ryan, but we know what transpired here, unfortunately, for Hooman Rahimi. Shuts it down. All right, so just a nice casual evening here at Road Atlanta, Braselton, Georgia, just to be exact. This is another driver who had an incomplete run, George Kirikopoulos. George K, easier to say. Nissan 370Z has the Link ECU logo on the door. Again, he had a mistake right from the get-go on that first front clip. Temperature's definitely dropping here. Saw 90 degrees earlier today and now in the 60s. Yeah, Braselton saying 70, but I feel like it's a lot cooler than that, don't you? Here we go, George K. on his second run. He needs to get a score on the board, and it needs to be better, and that will not do. George K finds himself in the kitty litter. 73 is the current driver of Schmidt. And again, that's going to take a while to pull him out of the kitty litter.
Yeah, tough break for George here. You can see he was very tentative on his initiation. He was way past that last standing cone. tried to get himself into drift, couldn't hold it, and then nowhere really to go into the kitty litter. So this is going to be double incompletes for him. He will be out of competition. He needed at least a 73, and with that there, he will be done for the competition. So tough break for George, but we've got 3 more rounds to go, plenty of opportunities, and he'll go back and do what he needs to do to try to find himself back in competition once again.
All right, so as we get George K out of the kitty litter, unfortunate for him, that is 2 incomplete runs. We will not be seeing him in top 16 competition. When we come back, more of round 1, the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship here at Road Atlanta when we come back. All right, there goes George K. Exit stage left for George K. And insult to injury, unfortunately, we will not be seeing him in top 16.
So, Jared, it still stands. 73 is the barrier to break in order to make it into tomorrow's competition. We've got a few guys on the bubble. We still have a few drivers that have incomplaints that are very capable of those scores. And we find ourselves getting back underway here. Been very lucky. I'm just going to knock on wood before I say this, but it was supposed to rain during qualifying, and it hasn't. So this is great. But let's get our next driver up and try to finish this off without any weather.
Well, this is our current #1 qualifier, Riley Sexsmith, and he threw down a blazing hot track, yo. That was my dad life right there. Riley Sexsmith, NV Auto. This Subaru BRZ. If you haven't downloaded the app already, please do so. A lot of promotions, giveaways, live scoring alerts and stats, content, breaking news, fan rewards program. Ryan, you were telling me that all the stuff that's given out to all the fans, that's pretty sweet. So
yeah, do hundreds of redemptions a week. So get your points. We give out points in the app, on social media. Sometimes you have to go on little secret missions to find them.
Really?
I've got a code in the community, hidden in the community right now. So go in the community and you might find some points.
Oh, look
but yeah,
at you.
we do hats, t-shirts, lanyards, VIP packages, tickets, everything. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like Formula Drift Pokemon Go here we got.
Yeah.
Ryan's like, can you find the treasure? All right, Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship. I always say, if you're in the building, awesome. If you can't make it, live stream. But also, if you see any and all of it, also tune into CBS Sports Network. You get news stories, you get behind the scenes, also Formula Drift Insider, both of them on CBS Sports Network, May 16th. Tune in, check your local listings, go to formuladee.com for all the schedules and updates on Formula Drift on CBS Sports Network. Riley Sexsmith, 92. You know what? Is he going to try to better it? Get more practice time? He's going to try to go for that 100-point run. What do you got, Sexsmith? Riley had a phenomenal first run. Throws it in, a little hesitation there. Whoa, buddy. Yeah, that's already out of the gate. You see some corrections and some wavering. Trying to go for the gusto. Ended up biting him. But Sexsmith really sounds healthy. The car sounds good. Looks very nimble. Well done there by Sexsmith, but I don't think that's going to outdo a 92.
Well, we've got 4 guys in the 90s right now. This is your leader at a 92, as you said, Jared. And it does look like he was trying to pull out all the stops here, not able to pull it off. You know, kudos to him for trying, but unfortunately, it's going to be a much lower score. Almost went incomplete there, but nonetheless, he still is your leader at a 92, who will be done for the day and surely into tomorrow's competition.
All right, so Sexsmith really flirts with that kitty litter. He's almost following George K's steps there, but keeps it out and continues on through the course. And yeah, with that, Sexsmith from hero to zero here, but 92 will definitely get him into top 16 action tomorrow. So a 92 on his first run, but unfortunately incomplete on his second. Next up, Andy Hateley, another driver, currently sits on a 90 on his first run in the number 4 qualifying position. Andy Hateley on his second run. All right, just getting into top 10 drivers here. And here we go. Andy Hateley. Again, a 90 on his first run. Massive initiation from him. Yeah, just at that point, just too much coming to a halt there for Andy, unfortunately.
Well, he was going for it there,
Yeah,
another driver. And, you know, I love seeing that. It helps push along the progression of the sport. Guys pushing each other, going for those big initiations, going for that backward entry. We see it pulled off every now and again, Jared, but, you know, the toughest thing about it is you lose so much momentum, and you can see it. It pains me to say that Hateley was a victim of that as well. Just He had the angle coming around the corner, but just really no momentum, no way to link that up properly. And so he'll have to settle for his first score. Look at this. I mean, that is pretty near close backwards. And just
not the prettiest.
Not the prettiest. That's right.
throwing a vintage one back there.
I wonder if we've had enough years past that where like modern
People
fans
forgot.
forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean that's 3 years when Mad Mike. It still pops its ugly head where I get reminded
Every
of
now
me
and
saying
again.
that, and I just have to defend myself. 90-0, a 90 and a 0 on a second run. Andy Hateley currently in number 4 position. All right, next up, Dylan Hughes, the Dozer. His second run. He had an 87 on his first run. And you can see our top 5. So Dylan Hughes definitely in the top 16 now, having an 87 and a 73 as the top 16 scores. That's the cutoff. Here we go. Dylan Hughes throws it in, dancing with the gator strips, past that front clip. Let's see what we got. DU into that first outer zone, into the second. Very fluid. You see a quick yank of the e-brake. Just barely smooches that front clip. Good exhaust note, fluidity through the course, Ryan.
Yeah, very nicely done here, and you'll see that the initiation is really what set things off. He had good commitment coming down. He throws it right to angle, holds it, very minimal use of e-brake, lets it flow into that first corner, then he's back on the throttle. Nice transition back around, moving up the hill now. Gets through that first outer zone, comes up a little bit short on this second outer zone, but again, a lot of other drivers have been missing that as well. Super tight on that inside clip, draws a nice smooth line coming down the hill. Gets right up alongside that inside touch and go. Smooth transition back around. A solid performance for Dylan Hughes. And taking a look here as he comes into the keyhole, you can see just a little tiny e-brake there to set himself up. Does a great job in positioning right alongside. We really haven't seen many drivers stay that close to that inside clip. So great job by Dylan. And then the initiation, you can see he locks into the angle, and then as soon as he gets the opportunity, he's right back on the throttle and keeps that fluid motion down the hill. He had good commitment in the run-up, threw it right to angle and held it there. So nice overall performance by Dylan Hughes. Let's see where that slots him in. He's got that 87 on run number 1, so looking to improve on that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's going to better it. We're seeing 26, 29, and angle, so that's a large angle score there. Waiting for the style, which is essentially fluidity and commitment. Ryan, this could be better. Boom. All right, so Dylan Hughes, his score coming in. He had an 87 on his first run. Seeing him being tabulated. 94, number 1 qualifier, Dylan Hughes. Dylan Hughes, our now number 1 qualifier betters. Riley Sexsmith with that 92 and has a 94 and our number 1 qualifier. All right, Trenton Beecham backing it up here. Looks like Beecham heads back to the pits. See if he's calling a competition timeout or what's going on here. And again, Beecham from Southern California. See him notably at the Motegi Racing Super Drift Challenge. Good to see him out here at a comp here at Pro 2. And Beecham. All right, Beecham just looked, I guess Tech looked at his vehicle. He is good to go. And Trenton Beecham had an 82 on his first run. And here we go. Trenton Beecham on his second run. Can he better an 82? Lights are on, both on the cars and here at the venue. Scrubbing a lot of speed. That was a really crawling to that first front clip, and now turns on the smoke machine. Man, that will be a correction. That's going to be an incomplete run for Beecham unofficially. And that's just going to really solidify it, unfortunately, for Beecham. But he does have an 82 on his first run.
Yeah, we saw from Beecham here what we see from some drivers where they're just a bit tentative leading up to the initiation. What the judges want to see is throttle all the way to initiation and then let that commitment carry you through the first corner, getting back on the throttle as quickly as you can. Beecham kind of slowly drove up and then throttled into initiation. And unfortunately, he had that incomplete right there, right in front of that that second inside clip. So he'll have to hold on to run number 1. And he's in good position right now.
All right, so again, we are now getting into the wee hours here. Local time 8:30. We're gonna have the drivers meeting after this. And talking about tomorrow, gates open tomorrow. $11 o'clock, again 11 o'clock. And here we go. This is Alec Robbins. He had a incomplete on his first run and now throws it in. Whoa, buddy. Overcooks it and sprays a lot of gravel on track, and that will be a massive cleanup there. So Alec Robbins on his second and only run. He had his first run was an incomplete. So we're gonna have a cleanup there on aisle 1 for Alec Robbins and our track here. Here's Alec coming in way too hot.
Yeah, you can see he gets an aggressive start here. A lot of angle in the car, then he pulls it out, and then right there he realizes he's got too much momentum in the car. Comes quickly out of the kitty litter, but he carries with him probably a few 100,000 little rocks, so we'll definitely have some cleanup there. You can see he's kind of sliding sideways. Didn't get the measurement of the speed there and the scrubbing of the speed in order to not go into the kitty litter. It's a tough break. Here it is again. It's a late initiation past that last standing cone. It's the butt of the vehicle right there, and you can see the rocks flying all over the place.
All right, so Alec Robbins. We're gonna clean up things here. Looks like they're already on the case. You can see the beautiful sunset here at Road Atlanta. Again, round 1 of the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship. This is round 1 of 4 of the Independent Pro 2 Championship, and round 3 of the Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship. We'll get the track clean, and we'll be right back with more drifting action here at Road Atlanta. Brandon Schmidt now on the start line. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We are live. This is round 1 of the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship. Okay, so yeah, Schmidt is on the bubble. There's a 73 for Brandon Schmidt. I'm assuming he wants to better it. Whoa, really wrapping it out there. If you can recall his first run, this is looking a lot more fluid as he explodes and even throws some sparks there. Throws him out of, just a little out of shape. Gets into that gator strip. All right, so Schmidt brings it back up the hill. Man, into that first outer zone. Just watch the replay here, Ryan. He takes out that the first outer zone indicator and throws some sparks even.
Well, the car is sounding just absolutely nasty, and you can see some bright spots here, but still struggling a little bit with that initiation. You can see just blasting through this section of the course up the hill here. Drops that left, right rear, and you can see the sparks fly, and then as he comes around this the second inside clip, does a decent job there. Huge plume of smoke coming off the vehicle through that last inside touch and go, and then through the final finish line. Now he's got a 73, as we said, Jared. This is where we saw him hit the cone the first time around. He gets through it a lot better this time, but a big e-brake pull before he gets back on throttle. This is where he drops the left 2, actually.
Wow.
Thought it was just the left-right. Excuse me, the left rear. He's got that 73. He's looking for a 74 or higher. Remember, we've got Hughes, Sexsmith, Jaeger, Reeder, and Hateley as your top 5, all in the 90s. So we've got Schmidt, who's got this 73, and he is right on the bubble right now. So looking for a 74 or higher in order to improve himself in the lineup.
While these guys are drifting out here, Larry Chen's getting some sunset photos for his wallpapers later. Look at Larry getting these sweet sunset shots down here right in front of us. Larry. 64 for his second run. That's a 73 on his first, so he will have to say a prayer here to see if some of these drivers with incompletes do not get scores. So including Kevin Lawrence, our defending Pro 2 champion. And Brodie Goble, he has a 67, so he is outside of the top 16 looking in. So, like I said, a lot of these drivers just upping the ante. Brodie Goble exploded his front bumper on that first front clip. I think if he comes out unscathed on that first front clip, he might have a shot at bettering that 67, but that really threw him off his game. And here we go, Brodie Goble. Can he make it in the top 16 here in Pro 2 competition? Nice big angle there from him. Whoa. Goble, you can hear him lifting, letting it just glide out. Not the tidiest run as far as proximity to the clips, but definitely a powerful run. You talk about Schmidt's run and how just nasty it sounded in a good way. Goble is right there as well.
Yeah, it just seems like it's not clicking for Goble just yet. He's really was not driving in the upper end of the power band of the vehicle. He was kind of low down on the RPMs a lot of the time, and then you can see getting back on it right there, and then heading up the hill, but not really putting everything together. Now, this is do or die for Goble here, so this run is what is going to either make or break his weekend. He's got to have a 73 or higher, and if he does get a 73, he's going to be tied with Schmidt, and then it's going to come down to another criteria in the scoring. Let's take a look at the initiation here. Gets good angle in the car, but he has to dial it back a bit, and he was coming down with quite a bit of speed. So a lot of drivers still not fully committing to their initiation point and getting their timing right through that first inside clip. A little bit better here in that, deeper in that zone, but he got into it kind of wonky. So some mistakes, but some high points as well. And just looking to at least tie a 73, a 74 would be great. So let's see what the judges say.
And a 67 on his first run. Goble awaits his second. And again, that 73 being the cutoff. And it does not look promising for Goble. and it's not. A 69 on his second run. That's an 18. That's on the outside looking in. Unfortunately for Brodie Goble, he's not going to be seeing head-to-head competition tomorrow. As compared to Pro, we have a top 32. In Pro 2, we have a top 16. Ola Jaeger, who already has a 91. He is currently sitting tied in third with Travis Reeder, second overall last year in Pro 2. Ola Jaeger looked very strong on his first run. Looks like the car is looking stronger than ever. Again, a 91 on his first run. Temp and track conditions getting a little bit cooler here. What's the outcome going to be? Here we go. Ola Jaeger ripping down the hill. Big Maji entry just right in between the gator and the track. Ola just barely kissing that front clip into the first outer zone, really powering through. Very fluid from Jaeger. Middle of the line. Let's see if he can tighten it back up, and he does. About a quarter car distance, exiting the horseshoe into that front touch and go, and past the final front clip. A very fluid run from Ola Jaeger, already with a 91. Does that better regardless. A very strong, confident score from Ola Jaeger.
Well, he's already got that high score here. You can see really moving on the course, coming down into initiation. Nice through that first inside clip, just touches it there as he gets back on the throttle very quickly, heads up the hill, fills that first outer zone. Midline, like a lot of guys on this second outer zone here. Pretty good job on that second inside clip, right around the tire marks of pretty much everybody else, or the majority of people that are getting close to that inside clip. And then through the finish line is Ola Jaeger to finish up his qualifying session.
All right, scores are in. Ola Jaeger with a 91, does not better an 88 on his second run. That is a 30, or sorry, keeps him at number 3 position, easy for me to say. Josh Robinson, who had a 66 on his first run. This is do or die for the Aussie. The robot kangaroo. The supercharged Holden Ute. Here we go. Josh Robinson, all the way from the lane down under. He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich coming into that first front clip. Robinson transitions up the hill. Nice job in that first outer zone. Now, on his first run, it seemed like he couldn't really dial in those front clips, and now he seems to be nosing in a lot better. You know, he's got that power on deck. I mean, it's a really high horsepower car, but just given the smaller tire diameters, or excuse me, the width, it really kind of holds him back a little bit.
Well, Robinson had that really late initiation this time. He does improve on that, does a much better job. He's back on throttle right through that first inside clip, blasting up the hill here, trying to fill that first outer zone. A little bit of struggle here on that second outer zone. Now squeezing through that second inside clip. Nice transition, very snappy back around, heading down the hill here. Big smoke line as he drives through the finish line. Comes unstuck just a little bit there. Let's take a look at the initiation. Big improvement here. He really was way past that last standing cone. And he manages his angle, gets back on the throttle. Nice grip moving through that section of the course. So should be an improvement for him overall, and he is looking for at least a 73.
So that 73 was Schmidt. He is hoping that Robinson does not do better than that. Otherwise, he is knocked out, and unfortunately for Schmidt, but fortunately for Robinson, an 85 for the Oz Caminos. I'm just going to brand it right there, the Oz Camino from Australia, the Holden Ute. He finds himself in the top 10 position, and that will solidify a top 16 showing for him. Travis Reeder, second overall. That means one more driver left. Here we go, Reeder. Reeder on his second run. He already has a 91 on his first run. Past that front clip, seeming like a much more confident run. He's got a solid 91 in the books. Let's see if he can bring it all the way out, and he does just that. Dylan Hughes, our #1 qualifier, Both Hughes and Rita really good friends off the track, but now it's going to be bragging rights at the bar. Who's going to get the #1 spot? The dozer, Dylan Hughes with a 94. Travis Reeder with that 91 run. Is that enough?
Well, Reeder very confident there. You could just tell by his expression through the finish line that he felt really good about that. Now down the hill, comes right into initiation, e-brake pull, then he's back on the throttle there. Maybe could have done that a little bit more fluid, but you can see as soon as he gets into the course, he's ripping through it. Nice fluid line, huge angle here. Gets deep into that second outer zone. It's one of the better jobs that we've seen of people so far today. And then through this section of the course, snappy transition back down the hill, right up alongside that inside touch and go, and then smashing it through the finish line. So looking to improve on his already high score. Here's the initiation from Reeder. You can see he gets to angle, holds it there. Perfect job on that inside clip. And a solid performance for him overall.
So Reeder, who was so dominant last year, and it came down to that final Pro 2 round, and Kevin Lawrence ended up wrapping it up due to some unfortunate circumstances. And look at that, Travis Reeder, your #1 qualifier, a 95. A 95 for Reeder. He now takes the #1 spot. Look at that, a perfect score in style. Angle 28, line lacking 3 points with 27. So Reeder trumps his good friend Dylan Hughes, and now takes away that #1 spot from him. And only one driver left to go. And that is the defending Pro 2 Formula Drift champion. He's in his R32. He'll be in his S14.3 tomorrow in Pro. So he's getting a lot of track time out here. Kevin Lawrence, K-Law, in Juku Racing. Skyline R32, our final driver of Pro 2. Remember, this is qualifying, narrowed down to 16 drivers. Kevin Lawrence comes in, and he currently sits on a 0, and that will be a no-go for Kevin Lawrence. So the defending champion, also doing double duty in Pro, will not be seeing Pro 2 competition. So I talked about how much driving time he's going to get. Unfortunately, he won't be getting any more in Pro 2, but we will be seeing him in Pro tomorrow. Well, I say that, tomorrow in Pro qualifying. Brian?
Yeah, tough break for Kevin Lawrence. We saw the exact same thing. I have to imagine something's just not set up properly on the vehicle. That is atypical Kevin Lawrence, but unfortunately, he will have to settle for Pro competition tomorrow. You can see here, initiates, gets on the e-brake, does not release the e-brake, and then is not able to drive out of it. So not something we typically see from Kevin Lawrence. He'll be out of Pro 2 competition, so he'll have a tough battle if he's going to do the rest of the rounds, going out with no points, but he does have Pro competition tomorrow. So, Jared, that is it for us. We will post all the official scores on all of our channels here as soon as we get done, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, just taking a look at the schedule. Again, today's only Thursday. Usually we're working at Thursday or on Friday, but again, gates open, paddock open tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Then we'll be having, there's our webcast time, 6 p.m. Pro qualifying, 10 p.m. Pro 2, top 16 competition, and then Saturday, 4:15, top 32, 10:15, top 16. So it's going to be a long day tomorrow as well as going into Saturday. Thanks for joining us out here. Round 1 of the Link ECU Pro 2 Championship. Again, this is round 1 of 4, but this is also round 3 of the Formula Drift Black Magic Pro Championship. On behalf of the judges, Ryan Lantain, Brian Egger, and Ian, all of our hardworking team. Ryan Sage, I'm Jared Dienda. We'll see you online, and we'll see you another time. Send it, Formula Drift.